Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So today we have Colin Lindberg, and he's in Moretown, Vermont. Is that right? Did I say
Yep,
Moretown
Moretown,
correctly?
Vermont.
And he is the owner and general contractor of Shelterwood, and they focus on passive houses and net zero. So today we're going to go through a couple of their projects and talk about what they do. So, Colin, let's start out with just you telling us a little bit about your business.
Okay. I started Shelterwood Construction 5 or 6 years ago. I became unemployable by others because I became frustrated at cutting corners and, kind of the greenwashing that was happening. And I knew I could, I wanted to try and do things a little differently and try not to compromise as much. And one of the things that we do is we only will build homes if they're designed by an architect and they have to be net zero or passive house certified. Um, so we're building these incredibly energy efficient homes in a really difficult climate, which is central Vermont. We're right in the mountains, and our weather ranges from 80 degrees in the summer to, it's not rare for it to be negative 15 in the winter. And, we have 6 months of snow out of the year. So it's a difficult climate to build in. Um, and so we do a single custom high-end house at a time. And we've kind of found some really good success doing that at this point. So.
Great. So tell us what qualifies as net zero.
So net zero means that the house has to produce as much energy as it's using. So you could make your typical McMansion net zero if you threw enough solar panels at it, but we use that term because people recognize the term net zero. But to us, what it means is that it's super insulated, very well air sealed, and very comfortable. So we focus on bringing the loads of the house down to a minimum so that you don't need to add too much renewable power to the house to make it net zero. And what we're seeing is these houses, they have anywhere from 12 inches to 16 inches of insulation in the walls. And on a day where it's 5 degrees out and sunny, the houses are 75 degrees inside the house with no heat on. It's just amazing how comfortable they can be.
Yeah. So
So,
let's show your portfolio. So if anyone wants to check out his website, it's shelterwoodconstruction.com. So we've got this net zero home here, and then we've got a passive house here and a barn renovation. So of these, which ones are net zero?
the top one is the passive house. The Joslyn Hill passive house is. The barn is. And we really need to add a couple more projects to our website. It's a little, it's not as updated as it should be.
Well,
With
go ahead.
with this house, we actually won the 2018 North American Passive House of the Year award, which was quite a surprise because I didn't know we were entered into it. But the architects had entered it, and they called me, while it was happening, and they said, "Hey, are you at the award ceremony?" I said, "No, I'm putting my kid to bed." And he said, "Well, I'm stuck in traffic, and apparently we just won this award, and no one's there to receive it."
Oh,
It's kind of funny. Yeah. So
wow, congratulations.
yeah, that house kind of put us on the map, which was really great. And it's been fun to see it evolve over time as the landscaping has grown up and whatnot.
So tell us about the clients. What did they come to you with? What kind of program?
So they were looking for a passive house, and they wanted it just to be comfortable and energy efficient. And they also wanted to be able to age in place as they got older. So the architects, which was Kaplan Thompson Architects out of Portland, Maine, they designed the whole ground floor to be wheelchair accessible, and it has a master bedroom suite on the ground floor. Um, so the house is, I think it's about 3,000 square feet, and the number that we like to bandy about is that the entire house, if it didn't have solar panels on the roof, could be heated and cooled for $300 a year.
Wow.
And this is in the Mad River Valley of Vermont, which is, a kind of a resort ski destination, and it's cold, you know, a lot of the months out of the year. So to use that little energy to heat this whole house is just simply amazing. And there's a solar panel array which takes care of everything.
Nice. So is it off grid or still connected?
It's still connected. We don't see much of a demand for off the grid houses here. You really have to be far away from the power grid to make that financially viable. So what we do is the houses, they feed the grid with their solar panels when they produce excess power, and then they just get a credit from the power company on the way back in during the winter when the panels are covered with snow.
Nice. And so is
So
this house often have a credit?
it builds up a credit in the summer, and then it uses up that credit in the winter. Um, so the goal is to basically end the year with a zero credit,
Mhm.
because it's actually really hard to size solar panels on new construction because nobody knows how the owners are actually going to use the power that's available to them.
Sure.
Whether they have the heat set at 80 degrees or they leave the TV on 24 hours a day and whatnot.
Right.
So
Were there any challenges with this project?
it's funny because it looks like a really simple shape and a simple home, but it's incredibly complex to be able to have those dormers and all the different jogs in the foundation and still get to the energy levels that we needed to hit passive house certification.
Mhm.
It's very easy to make a square box into an easily heated area, but when you get into all these corners and dormers and stuff like that, it gets incredibly complex. And what's really nice is that you can't tell once it's all done. It's just a aesthetically pleasing home, that you couldn't tell that there's anything special about it when you're driving by on the road, and then when people find out that you can heat it with body heat, or at a dinner party in the winter, you might be opening the windows because it gets too warm. People are just blown away because we're Vermonters. We're used to being cold in our houses and wearing, a couple extra sweaters. And to to be able to sit next to a window in January and not be cold is just, it's not in people's radars, honestly. So
Yeah, exciting. I just love this photo. It just sums up everything about what a house should be for me.
yeah, and one of the things that's really special about a lot of the houses that we build is that we use a lot of local materials.
Mm,
And on this house, we had to clear about a half an acre of pine trees to put in the wastewater system.
uh-huh.
And we had all of those trees milled, um, and all of the flooring on the second floor, all of the baseboard and door casings, and all of the exterior trim came off of the property, which
Very
is pretty
cool.
great. And
Yeah,
so, and
absolutely.
you're seeing this kitchen, it's all local cherry off of just out of Vermont. We're really blessed in this area of having really good building materials.
Yeah, excellent. Great. All right, let's check out another project. And maybe you can talk about the difference between passive house and passive solar.
I don't know if I actually can. It's funny. One of the things that I do really well is I find the right people to work with. Um, I'm not a building scientist. I'm a carpenter who happened to end up owning a business, owning a construction company, and I know enough to get to be dangerous, but I don't know enough to sound educated.
Well,
So
I think that's probably a good tip for people who aren't sure if they want to get into it or not. If you hire the right people around you, that
yeah, you got to find the right people, who you trust, and then you stick with them.
right,
So
good. So tell us about this project.
So this was actually a project in New Jersey. This was when I was working for another contractor. So this was a 1780s barn that was an original agricultural building that was really fallen into disrepair. Um, and it, it was picked up, and actually a new foundation was put underneath it. And then the barn had some timber frame repairs done to it. And then it was put back in its original location on the new foundation, and then wrapped with what are called SIP panels, which we don't use them too much these days, but I know a lot of builders do, and they're really great for timber frames because they allow the frame not to be hidden. So you can see the beauty of the old timbers, and then and those also give you the insulation as well.
So you're saying that the zip panels were put on the outside, and then the green wood was put on top of those? Is that right?
Yep.
So you've still got the original interior. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the only thing that's original about this place is the timber frame at this point. That's the only thing that's that was salvaged. When the demo happened of the original barn, all the siding and roof, we saved as much as we could of the original cladding or the barn boards, and they were reused in the kitchen and a couple other places. But besides that, it's pretty much all new. So, and you can see, these beams, these were what's called hand hewn. So this was made before sawmills. They were hewn with adze, and they were squared off. So it's pretty impressive.
Definitely.
So
how do you take a structure that's got such high ceilings and make it airtight? Was there air filtration? And
yeah, it's a combination of just putting a lot of insulation, and then also making sure that insulation isn't exposed to the outside air, so you're air sealing the building really well. And with these buildings, they're so well air sealed that they also have to be mechanically ventilated. And I always liken these passive houses or net zero homes, they have to work exactly like the human body. The building has to be able to dry to one side, because you always get moisture in it from occupants or just general living conditions. So that moisture has to go somewhere safely. And so with the mechanical ventilation, it's an air exchange system where it's bringing fresh air out, fresh air into the building, and then it's exhausting the stale used up air from the bathrooms and kitchen, and that's sending it out. And in Vermont, it's really hard because it's cold. So they have heat exchangers in them. So you're not bringing in really cold air, really warm air. It's tempering the air that's bringing them in.
Very cool. Let's do one more project also. Okay, tell us about this one.
This might be my favorite project. These homeowners were just absolutely amazing. They were close to retiring, and we worked with them and the architects to kind of come up with a really cute small house. And the homeowner really liked old one of the homeowners really liked old train stations, so he kind of wanted it to look like that. And we kind of got away from that, but it was just this like small compact living space. And these guys were so cute because they just wanted to be together and like retire in a really warm, comfortable house. And it was Nancy was a teacher, and Paul was a career firefighter. And to be able to build for folks like these guys it was just so much fun. And they brought, all sorts of fun ideas, and like this library ladder, they found it at a flea market somewhere. And they're like, this has to be in the project. So it's a really small 2-bedroom house that just lives large. And the designer on the project was just so much fun to work with. And I'm still in touch with all of our old clients, and I always, hear such great feedback on, how much they love their house and how much they love the process. And what I really like is, if you look at this picture, the landscaping hasn't grown in, and we need to go back and get some more photos of this place because now it's been a couple of years since we built it. And this whole area that you're looking at is just covered in perennials and native wildflowers now, and it's kind of it's looking like it belongs in the land now.
Nice.
So
And how
yeah,
are you finding your clients that are interested in these kind of projects?
it's just all word of mouth. It's just such a small community, and I find it really easy because our clients tend to speak the same language we do. We don't want to build anything unless it hits net zero and is a very sustainable structure. You get one chance to build a house on this property, and we really want to honor that land by doing it the right way. And, also looking at the broader global climate change, we should make these as efficient as possible. So, we have the reputation in central Vermont as one of the go-to builders for this. And, we get asked to build these giant places, and we refuse more jobs than we take on, just because they don't really fit our criteria. And so we've found really good luck just by being stubborn, really, and saying, this is what we do and this is what we don't do. And we're good at this and we have no interest in doing other things.
Sure.
So
Do you have any tips for builders who are interested in doing more net zero passive house kind of green building?
I would say just, the first one's going to be incredibly different than what you're used to. And you just want to find your systems and find what works for you and find really good architects who are experienced with it, who can give you good plans, and, go from there. And it's really nice to be able to take a little bit of extra time and put a little more attention to detail into the building envelope, so it's going to last forever. Maybe not last forever, but last for hundreds of years. You know and you're going to get a much more comfortable, durable home because of it. um, so I think it's the way everybody should be building. Yes, it takes a little bit more time, but the long lasting effects are, I think they far outweigh just slapping together houses.
Right. Have you had any challenges that you've come up against that made it more difficult?
To be honest, I think just our climate is a little bit more difficult to work in. Um, we end up working outside in the winter a lot and just kind of struggling with the weather and shoveling a lot of snow. But besides that, it's no different than any other type of construction in this area.
Right. And how about the different areas that people are in? Are there different methods that would be better for parts of the world than others? Or do you think
Mhm.
passive house is that methodology work everywhere?
Yeah, the way that they do it is it's climate specific. So how you would build, in New Mexico is completely different than, say, northern New England. You still have to hit the same energy goals, but the actual building assemblies would be different because of that. So
So different materials as well?
it's more different. It could be, where there's a lot more stucco and stuff like that for exterior cladding down south, and in more arid environments. But insulation levels are going to vary as well. It'd be much easier to hit in passive house level targets in the south or in a warmer climate than it would be, in a very cold climate.
Hmm.
So
And do you do any rainwater harvesting? Is that ever part of?
we haven't. There's not a huge demand for it here, just because there's so much water. you know, I think it is. I think we will start seeing it though, because I'm seeing a pattern of that the summers are drier, and it just makes sense. You know.
Yeah. So what do you see your business moving into in the future? What are you excited about doing next?
There's a couple things. One of the things that I haven't unlocked the secrets to, and I'm not sure I'm going to, but what interests me is being able to make these buildings more affordable.
Mhm.
My dream is to be able to build for families. It's and we haven't been able to do that yet. But I would love to be able to get the costs down while still using quality materials and local materials if possible, and to be able to kind of hit market rate. But we're in a little niche where we're a high end custom home builder, and I'd like to be able to scale it down so it's more accessible to every family that wants to build a house. Not sure exactly how that's going to happen, but that's one of my goals. Um, I'd also like to challenge more builders to build to the net zero standards and make things super airtight and insulated. Just because it's more comfortable and it's healthier. So
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Colin. This is great.
yeah.
So if you are interested in checking out Colin's work, it's shelterwoodconstruction.com. And then they've also got an Instagram feed, which is Shelterwood Construction. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing your beautiful work. It's really exciting to see what you're doing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right. See you later.
All righty.